Hello, Sacral Beauties. Welcome to the SheSacral Podcast. If you're new, I'm your host, Lindsay Christian, and I help women recover from chronic burnout. We have been talking all about the abundance wounds, and today we are diving into the underearning wound. This wound is rooted into the belief of I must stay small. If you've ever found yourself undercharging for your work, overgiving to prove your worth, or shrinking back when it's time to step forward and claim what you deserve, then you have touched this wound. And it's your nervous system's way of saying it's safer to be overlooked than to be fully seen. So let's talk about where this underearning wound comes from. The underearning wound often forms in environments where shrinking felt like survival. It's not that you choose to be small, but it's that your body has learned that being small is safer than expansion. So we can experience some shame imprints. Many women were told as children, don't ask for too much, or shamed for desiring things outside of the family's comfort zone. Or maybe you were told that you were selfish for wanting more food or new clothes or opportunities. And over time, your nervous system learned desire equals danger. Asking for more brought disapproval, shame, or rejection. So shrinking became the safest option. We could have also experienced cultural suppression. In many cultures, girls are often praised for being agreeable, nurturing, and self-sacrificing, and criticized for being bold, ambitious, or outspoken. You might have been celebrated for helping, giving, or staying quiet, and shamed for wanting recognition or money. And this cultural coding tells you that your role is to serve, not to prosper. Low self-worth could have also been an origin. If you grew up in an environment where your gifts weren't seen or where love had been earned through performance, it creates the belief that your value is conditional. So as an adult, you may accept less than you deserve, staying in low-paying jobs, discounting your services, or giving more than you're compensated for because deep down you don't feel enough to ask for more. For some, staying small was literally a survival tactic. Maybe shining too brightly drew criticism, jealousy, or even punishment. Perhaps being seen led to conflict or abuse or abandonment. So the nervous system wired invisibility as safety. Better to be overlooked than to be attacked. So even if you grew up and you were bullied for knowing the answers in class, right? How many of us have experienced that where you're just answering questions and people are like, you know it all. Or you think you're all that, right? How many of us grew up with that? Teaching us to shrink ourselves because it was never our intention to outshine anyone else. We're just being ourselves. But because we do value connection and not being humiliated by other people, it can teach you to shrink. So as an adult, your nervous system resists expansion. Opportunities arrive, but then you freeze. Money comes in, but then you deflect. Success knocks, but then you hide. Not because you don't want more, but because your body is still holding on to the old instructions that more isn't safe. Having more, being more, doing more is not safe. So let's talk a little bit about how this pattern can show up. The underearning wound doesn't just cap your income. It reshapes your entire relationship with giving and receiving. So you might start undercharging as default. Even though you might pour your energy into work, yet consistently set your prices and salary expectations below your true value. Even when you know others are charging more, something inside you freezes at the thought of asking. Or maybe over-delivering to prove your worth. Instead of trusting that your expertise, time, or presence is enough, you compensate with more effort. You work longer hours, add extra bonuses, or take on more responsibility, not out of pure generosity, but out of fear that without the extra, you won't be enough. Or the guilt in receiving. When money doesn't come easily, maybe a client pays without hesitation or you receive a bonus, but you feel this little twinge of guilt. Your body might whisper to yourself, "This was too easy. I did not earn it." So you may unconsciously find ways to give it away, discounting your work or refunding too quickly or spending it as fast as it arrives. Or another one, avoiding expansion. Negotiations, promotions, or raises feel unsafe. And instead of asking for more, you keep yourself small, telling yourself, I'll wait until I'm more ready, right? Or I don't want to rock the boat. So you protect yourself from rejection by never stepping forward. And the sad part is, you are doing this, you are feeling this, but when you see someone else that's thriving, maybe they're even doing the same thing you're doing and they're charging like 5 times more, you feel angry, don't you? You feel maybe even envy, and it can create this feeling of being trapped. So let's talk a little bit more about how this is affecting the nervous system. In the body, the underearning wound often shows up with 2 survival strategies, freeze and fawn. These are not conscious choices that many people may think. They're nervous system reflexes that we have learned a long time ago. In the freeze response, when opportunities for expansion appear, a raise, a higher paying client, or even a chance to market yourself, your system shuts down. Instead of taking action, you procrastinate, you avoid, or you even convince yourself that you're not ready. You might even feel physically paralyzed, staring at the email you should send, the proposal you should write, but then doing nothing. And the body will then whisper, if I don't move, I can't be rejected. If I stay still, I'll stay safe. But on the flip side, we can move into the fawn response. And you may respond by appeasing others to secure safety. So you say yes to draining projects, discounting your rates when clients push back, or over-delivering far beyond what was agreed upon. And your nervous system believes that love and approval and even survival can come from pleasing others. So the body whispers, if I keep everyone happy, I'll stay safe, even if it costs me. So together, the freeze and fawn creates an invisible cage. Freeze keeps you from stepping up, and fawn keeps you locked into overgiving. So this nervous system coding keeps you small, even if abundance is offered. A client happily pays full price, or your boss is ready to give you a raise and you can't hold it. Something inside your body rejects it because on a survival level, less still feels safer than more. But here's the truth. Until that nervous system is retrained, expansion will always feel threatening, no matter how much you want it. I want to cover the trap of how this happens because I found myself in this space so many times and I couldn't figure out where I was getting trapped. Undercharging starts to become proof. Every time you set your prices too low or settle for less than you deserve, your nervous system records it as evidence. This is my worth. This is all that I can ask for. Overgiving creates exhaustion. Every time you over-deliver, you drain yourself. Exhaustion then makes it harder for you to show up fully, which convinces you that you can't handle more, further reinforcing that less is safer. And then shrinking back fuels invisibility. Avoiding opportunities, raises, or negotiations keeps you unseen. That invisibility ensures that you're overlooked, which then proves, quote unquote, to your nervous system that you're not meant to expand. Even when you push past the fear and you raise those prices, your nervous system will often panic. You may feel guilt, shame, or intense discomfort when someone agrees to pay. That discomfort drives you to start discounting it again, throwing in extras, or backpedaling. Not because you don't believe in your work, but because your body equates receiving more with danger. And some of you might say, well, you know what? I did raise my price, and guess what? Nobody bought anything. This one is pretty tricky and very common. When you raise your price, but the sales slow down or stop, instantly the nervous system is screaming, see, we shouldn't have raised those prices and now we have nothing. And so out of survival, you slash the price back down. Your product may be worth that higher price, but it's positioned to reach an audience that can't or won't pay it. Your marketing messages may be mismatched. Maybe you're speaking to people that are in survival mode instead of people that are ready to invest. And in times of desperation, lowering your price feels like the only way to guarantee something because your body believes that a little now is safer than maybe more later. And you've been taught, often by lived experience, that raising your value comes with a consequence, whether it's rejection, loss, emptiness, or sabotage, or receiving jealousy. So the loop becomes undercharge, overgive, exhaust yourself, attempt to expand, panic, or slow sales, then you discount, and then that proves to yourself that staying small is safe. And this is why telling women to just charge more is not only unhelpful, it's retraumatizing. The nervous system doesn't need pressure, it needs to be retrained. And so the truth is that pricing expansion must happen in 2 layers. Nervous system safety, where we're teaching the body that receiving more is not dangerous. And market alignment, where you're positioning whatever it is that you're offering in front of the audience that can and will pay that value. Without both, the prophecy repeats. And if you're ready to start gently rewiring your nervous system around money and going beyond under-earning, I created a free 7-day reset guide for you that walks you through simple daily practices to help your nervous system begin to feel safe with having more. You can download it in the link down below. Sometimes this goes for also opening ourselves up to others and relationships and people that may not really have the mindset to be able to properly value you. That is not your job, to teach someone to value you. Your job is to value yourself and understand and recognize your value, and then go beyond that by not shrinking to just get something. Positioning yourself with others that would be able to know your value and know your worth. If people can make millions of dollars off of opening packages, there's value in that. There's value in everything. It's all about positioning. So healing the under-earning wound isn't about pushing yourself to suddenly demand more or leap into a high-ticket pricing overnight. That would only re-traumatize your nervous system. True healing is about gently teaching your body that it is safe to expand. It is safe to receive. It is safe to shine. And we do all of that in the 30 days of pleasure rituals at SheSacral.com. So be sure to go ahead and check that out if you're ready to rewire your nervous system in a fun and gentle way. But for finances specifically, start small. Instead of doubling your prices overnight, try raising them by 10 or 15% and notice what comes up for you. Practice receiving without deflecting. Accept compliments with a simple thank you, or let someone treat you without the guilt. And I want you to start reframing the transactions. Start seeing them as sacred exchange of value, not just you taking. Your client is not losing anything by paying you. They're investing in their own expansion. So when you internalize this truth, you stop shrinking and start trusting receiving abundance. We covered a lot today, and if any of this resonated with you, be sure to leave a comment, share, like, or subscribe so that other women who have this under-earning wound can find this episode as well. But before we close, I want to invite you to just do a light reflection. Where do you undercharge, overgive, or hide to feel safe? Up next, we're going to dive into the next money wound, which is the working class trap. Definitely be sure to follow and subscribe so that way you get notified as soon as that episode is released. This concludes our episode. Thank yourself so much for showing up today, and thank you for tuning in to the SheSacral Podcast.